Welcome back, everyone. For weeks, we have been watching the quiet, unsettling unraveling of Jenny and Sumit. We all saw Jenny packing her bags, heading back to the United States alone, and the eerie, heavy silence that followed. Most viewers thought we were witnessing a mature, albeit tragic end to a relationship suffering from years of emotional burnout. But what we are looking at right now is not a quiet fade into the background. It is a loud, undeniable, and entirely self-inflicted disaster of epic proportions. What happens when you try to play both sides of the chessboard, only to realize you have just checkmated yourself? Sumit thought he was quietly securing a financial backup plan while his wife was thousands of miles away. Instead, he accidentally broadcasted his own ultimate betrayal to the world and straight to United States immigration. Before we dive deep into these shocking new insider reports that change everything we know about this couple, please take a second to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update on this rapidly developing scandal. Your support means everything, and hitting that subscribe button keeps you right at the forefront of the most exclusive reality television deep dives. Now, let us rewind for a moment and deeply analyze how we actually arrived at this absolute point of no return. If you have been following Jenny and Sumit's journey over the past decade, you know it has been built on a foundation of extreme sacrifice, intense family drama, and an overarching narrative of two star-crossed lovers fighting against the entire world. Jenny gave up her retirement, her secure life in America, and her proximity to her children and grandchildren to live in India. Sumit sold us, and Jenny, the ultimate story of a man who surrendered his traditional family approval, faced intense cultural backlash, and endured national public humiliation just to be with the woman he loved. For years, this was the ultimate reality television romance. It was presented as a modern-day Romeo and Juliet, complete with screaming matches, secret arranged marriages, and dramatic ultimatums in the living room. But what actually happens when the cameras finally stop rolling? What happens when the screaming stops, not because the problems have been magically solved, but because the emotional well has simply run dry? When Jenny finally packed her bags and boarded that flight back to America, the narrative shifted. For the first time in their relationship, there was physical distance. There was a pause. Sumit was left sitting alone in their shared home, staring at the walls and realizing that the reality television gravy train, along with his marriage, might be pulling into its final station. According to massive insider reports that are absolutely shaking the production circles right now, Sumit panicked. Instead of fighting for his marriage or having a deeply difficult, honest conversation with his wife about the state of their union, he reverted to his oldest, most destructive habit. He looked for a loophole. He looked for a way to secure his own future behind closed doors. Sources close to the production network have leaked a bombshell revelation that turns this entire love story on its head. In a desperate, calculated attempt to secure his financial future and maintain his reality television fame without Jenny, Sumit accidentally torpedoed his only chance of ever keeping her and permanently ruined his own path to the United States. His secret attempt to survive a potential divorce financially is the exact event that has now triggered the permanent end of his marriage. Here is where the timeline gets incredibly messy and deeply hypocritical. Just last week, Sumit was actively posting melancholy, heartbroken photos on his Instagram. He was perfectly playing the role of the devoted, devastated husband. He was telling fans in his comment section that he was counting the days until his beloved wife returned to India. He was asking for prayers, posting cryptic quotes about the strength of true love, and generally painting a picture of a man who was sitting by the phone, desperately waiting for his wife to give him a second chance. He wanted the public to see him as the loyal partner holding down the fort. But behind the scenes, while he was typing out those sad Instagram captions, Sumit was allegedly actively negotiating a lucrative contract for a highly popular rival celebrity dating show in India. Yes, you heard that correctly. While asking his loyal reality TV fans for prayers for his struggling marriage, leaked emails from an upscale Indian casting agency reveal that Sumit was aggressively shopping himself around to television producers. He was pitching himself not as a complicated married man separated from his American wife, but as a newly single man looking for a traditional Indian wife. He was literally offering up his new bachelor status as a storyline to the highest bidder. He fell right into his own trap. He thought he was being clever. He thought he could keep the American audience and Jenny entirely in the dark while he quietly filmed a pilot for a domestic Indian network. He thought he could stash away a massive paycheck and build a new solo brand just in case Jenny never came back. It is the ultimate manifestation of playing both sides of the fence. But the digital footprint is permanent, and the reality television industry is entirely too small to keep a secret that massive. The moment these production emails leaked, the illusion of the sad, waiting husband was shattered into a million unfixable pieces. When these exclusive rumors hit the internet and began circulating through the highest levels of reality television gossip, Sumit found himself backed into an impossible, suffocating corner. He is currently facing a classic, inescapable double bind. This is the credibility dilemma that he absolutely cannot talk his way out of. Let us break down the two impossible choices he now has. Option 1, he can come out publicly and claim that the dating show audition was completely fake. He could say it was just a scripted gig, a desperate cash grab to make some quick money while his wife was away, and that he is still deeply devoted to Jenny. But if he admits that, TLC and Sharp Entertainment will step in immediately. His 90-day Fiancé contract strictly forbids participating in rival television shows, especially ones that entirely contradict his current storyline on their network. Admitting he faked a dating show audition for cash would be a severe, irrecoverable breach of exclusivity, resulting in immediate termination and likely massive financial penalties. He would be dropped from the franchise forever. Option 2. He can admit that the dating show is real. He can confess that he actually is single, that Jenny is never coming back, and that he is genuinely looking for a new partner on Indian television. But if he chooses this route, the consequences are even more catastrophic. Why? Because of his pending United States spousal visa. Jenny has spent years and thousands upon thousands of dollars tirelessly working with immigration attorneys to secure Sumit a visa to bring him to America. That application is currently active. And here's a terrifying fact about the United States government. They monitor everything. When you apply for a spousal visa, immigration officers conduct thorough background checks, which include a deep dive into your public presence and social media footprint. You absolutely cannot claim to be a legally married, devoted husband to the United States government while simultaneously signing a legally binding contract to appear as a bachelor on a dating show. If he admits the dating show is real, his pending U.S. spousal visa is dead in the water. It is immediately voided. Worse than that, it would instantly trigger a federal flag for intent of marriage fraud. You cannot lie to immigration officials. So Sumit is trapped. He cannot tell TLC he is single, and he cannot tell the United States government he is single. But he already told an Indian casting agency that he is. He checkmated himself in the most humiliating way possible. The escalating stakes here have completely skyrocketed past typical reality television drama. This is no longer just about marital arguments over making tea or interfering mothers-in-law. This is about the real world, terrifying legal trouble. According to our insider sources, the escalating situation has caught the attention of the authorities. It is being heavily rumored that his file has already been flagged. Being cast on a dating show while holding an active spousal visa application is literally the fastest, most efficient way to get hit with an international fraud investigation. And as if the legal nightmare was not enough, the financial well is drying up at record speed. Sharp Entertainment, the production company behind his TLC fame, does not take kindly to rogue cast members jeopardizing their carefully crafted storylines. Reports are swirling that production has officially frozen his current reality television paychecks pending a full internal investigation. They are refusing to pay him a single dime until they uncover exactly what he signed with this Indian dating show. He played an incredibly risky, arrogant game with his finances. He tried to double dip into 2 different television networks, and as a result, he is now getting nothing. The financial safety net he was desperately trying to build has completely evaporated, leaving him staring at a zero balance. But if you thought he could just talk his way out of this massive financial and legal mess, if you thought he could sit down on a couch, look deep into a camera, and spin another elaborate web of excuses to get himself out of trouble, think again. The ultimate knockout blow was delivered exactly 24 hours ago, and it is something that absolutely no PR team, no network producer, and no amount of fake tears can ever erase. According to exclusive insider reports that are currently setting the reality television world completely on fire, a hot mic audio clip from his leaked audition tape has just surfaced online, and it is the most damning piece of evidence imaginable. You have to understand the context of how casting tapes work in the Indian television industry. Before you are officially brought onto a high-profile celebrity dating show, you sit down with a casting director in a highly sanitized, recorded environment to test your on-camera presence and nail down your exact storyline. The cameras are rolling, but more importantly, the microphones are hot, picking up absolutely everything, including the quiet, candid moments between takes. In this crystal clear audio leak, an Indian casting director can be heard asking Sumit a very direct, very necessary question about his current marital status. The producer needed to know exactly what legal liabilities they were dealing with before putting him on a show designed to find him a new wife. The producer asks him, point blank, where things stand with his American wife. Sumit's response is chilling. There is no hesitation in his voice. There is no tremor of heartbreak, no pause of reflection, and absolutely no respect for the decade he spent with the woman who gave up her entire life for him. In the audio, Sumit plainly and coldly states, Jenny is gone. She is not coming back. I am a free agent now. Let those words sink in for a moment. I am a free agent now. He did not say he was a heartbroken man hoping for a reconciliation. He did not say he was a husband desperately trying to save a fractured marriage. He called himself a free agent, a sports term used for a player who is officially off his contract and actively looking to sign with a new team. It was business. It was utterly transactional. Just a man sitting in a casting room, ready to sign his next contract and completely erase the last 10 years of his life. If you have watched this couple for years, if you have analyzed their dynamic season after agonizing season, you know deep down that this is not just an isolated mistake or a momentary lapse in judgment. This entire catastrophe is the ultimate explosive manifestation of Sumit's fatal behavioral flaw. It is a deeply ingrained psychological pattern that has defined his entire adult life. That flaw is his chronic, paralyzing avoidance of confrontation. Sumit has never, ever been able to look someone in the eye and deliver a truth. He is terrified of being the bad guy, so instead of facing a problem head on, he lies, he sneaks around, and he waits until the situation explodes on its own. Instead of having a painful, mature, and honest conversation with Jenny about ending the marriage, instead of calling her in America and saying that the distance is too much and the relationship has run its course, he chose to secretly hedge his bets. He wanted to make absolutely sure he had a soft, financially secure landing before he finally jumped out of the marriage. He wanted the new television contract signed, sealed, and delivered before he ever had to look at his wife and ask for a divorce. It is cowardly, but more importantly, it is incredibly familiar. This is the exact same deception, the exact same manipulative tactic he used all those years ago when he first met Jenny online. Let us not forget how this entire saga began. He catfished her. He used the fake name Michael Jones. He used a fake photograph. He created an entirely fake identity because he was too afraid to present his real, authentic self to an American woman. And when that lie was finally exposed, what did he do? He buried an even bigger one. He allowed Jenny to pack up her entire life, leave her family behind, and move to India, all while hiding the massive, life-altering secret that he was already legally tied to an arranged marriage. He let Jenny find out he was a married man in the most violent, traumatic way possible, when his father-in-law literally kicked the door down and dragged him out of their shared apartment. The man simply cannot be honest when the truth is uncomfortable. He will construct an elaborate, multi-layered lie just to avoid a 30-minute difficult conversation. This dating show audition is just Michael Jones version 2.0. It is the exact same avoidance, repackaged for a new decade. Of course, the moment these explosive rumors hit the internet and the walls began rapidly closing in around him, Sumit realized his entire reality television empire was collapsing in real time. He lost the safety of the TLC network, he jeopardized his American visa, and he was being globally exposed as a fraud. So he did what reality stars always do when they are caught red-handed in a massive lie. He reached for his phone, hit record, and went on Instagram Live to attempt a desperate, deeply uncomfortable emotional appeal. In a wildly dramatic, tear-filled video broadcast to thousands of confused fans, Sumit claimed he was the ultimate victim of a malicious misunderstanding. The performance was staggering. He looked directly into the camera lens, tears welling up in his eyes, his voice cracking with manufactured emotion, and he attempted to spin the most insulting, illogical excuse in the history of reality television. He told his audience, and implicitly told Jenny, who was undoubtedly watching from thousands of miles away, that he only auditioned for the Indian celebrity dating show to make enough money to buy a plane ticket to America. He looked the world in the eye and said he was just trying to secure the funds to fly to the United States so he could dramatically win his wife back. But the internet is absolutely undefeated, and the fans immediately saw right through the glaring inauthenticity of this performance. The logic is so incredibly flawed, it is almost insulting to the viewer's intelligence. You do not sign a legally binding contract to actively date other women on national television to prove your undying, faithful loyalty to your wife. You do not go on a television show looking for a new partner to save your current marriage. Furthermore, reality television fans know exactly how much money these stars make. The idea that a man who has been a top-tier, highly paid cast member on one of the biggest global reality franchises for nearly a decade cannot afford a single one-way economy plane ticket to the United States is mathematically absurd. He has been cashing massive network checks for years. The tears streaming down his face during that live stream did not look like the tears of a desperate husband mourning the loss of his beloved wife. They looked exactly like the panicked, erratic tears of a man who was mourning the sudden, violent loss of his bank account. It was a completely failed emotional appeal that only succeeded in making him look even more guilty and incredibly desperate. This entire disastrous sequence of events fully exposes the core thematic hypocrisy of the Jenny and Sumit saga. This completely shatters the entire foundation of their decade-long storyline. For years, Sumit's entire personal brand, the exact narrative he sold to TLC producers, to the audience, and most tragically to Jenny herself, was the brand of the ultimate, unimaginable sacrifice. He looked into the reality television cameras season after season, crying about how much he had to give up to be with this American woman. He constantly reminded us that he gave up the love and respect of his traditional Indian parents. He gave up his standing in his local community. He gave up his culture, his reputation, and his peaceful life, all for the sheer, undeniable power of true love. He positioned himself as a martyr for romance. He essentially demanded that the audience view him as a hero who was fighting a deeply unfair, prejudiced system just to hold his wife's hand. But this devastating new leak provides the harsh, undeniable moral of the story. The absolute moment the house got quiet, the moment the TLC cameras paused their filming schedule, and the moment the physical reality of his marriage required actual, quiet, untelevised work, he immediately monetized his heartbreak for a quick paycheck. He did not sit in the silence and reflect on how to fix his relationship. He immediately looked for a casting director to sell his new single bachelor persona to. It proves without a shadow of a doubt that his legendary loyalty was always highly conditional. It was conditional on the presence of television cameras, it was conditional on the TLC paychecks clearing the bank, and it was conditional on convenience. The second it became financially convenient to be a single man in India rather than a married man separated from his wife, he abandoned the Romeo and Juliet narrative without a second thought, proving that the greatest love story in reality television history might have just been a brilliant, decade-long business transaction. And now, the devastating reality check has finally hit with the absolute, full, uncompromising force of a moving train, completely destroying the last remaining fragments of his life. According to deeply reliable insider reports, the isolation Sumit is currently facing is absolute and total. The immediate fallout from this catastrophic dating show audition leak has left him entirely stranded. Sources extremely close to the couple are definitively stating that Jenny, completely shattered and humiliated by the viral audio recording of her husband calling himself a free agent on an Indian casting tape, has officially cut off all shared banking accounts from the United States. She has frozen the finances. The American financial lifeline, the money they earned together through years of exposing their deepest vulnerabilities on international television, is completely gone. She has taken control of the narrative and, more importantly, the assets. Furthermore, she has reportedly completely stopped answering his frantic phone calls, texts, and desperate social media messages. He is officially frozen out of the marriage. The woman who crossed oceans, fought an entire country's cultural norms, and endured unimaginable disrespect just to be with him, has finally drawn a hard, immovable line in the sand. But the terrifying isolation does not simply stop with his American wife abandoning him. The absolute worst part of this entire ordeal for Sumit is the catastrophic collapse of his domestic support system. His traditional Indian family, specifically his fiercely protective and deeply traditional parents, are reportedly absolutely furious and entirely humiliated by this new public dating show scandal. You have to understand the excruciatingly painful history here. It took years, nearly a decade of constant, agonizing fighting, screaming matches, and dramatic television interventions for his parents to just barely start tolerating his life choices. They had finally begrudgingly accepted his marriage to an older American woman simply because they were exhausted by the public spectacle. They had finally stopped the public shaming. They had finally allowed him back into their lives on a very limited, heavily conditional basis. But this new, explosive rumor about him auditioning for a domestic celebrity dating show while still legally married to his American wife has completely destroyed whatever fragile peace they had built. In traditional Indian culture, the sanctity of marriage is paramount, and the public humiliation of a son actively shopping for a new wife on national television while legally bound to another woman is an unforgivable offense. This is the ultimate, final betrayal of his family's deeply held values. The public embarrassment this new scandal has caused his parents in their local community is reportedly so severe that they have completely shut him out again. They refuse to speak to him, they refuse to acknowledge him, and most devastatingly, they refuse to let him move back into their home. He is entirely locked out. He cannot go to America because his spousal visa application is heavily flagged for federal marriage fraud by United States immigration authorities due to his dating show contract negotiations. He cannot go back to his parents' house in India because the sheer weight of his public humiliation has forced them to disown him for a second time. And his wife, the one person who stood by him through the lies, the catfishing, the secret arranged marriage, and the endless family drama, is thousands of miles away, refusing to pick up the phone. For a man who spent his entire adult life desperately trying to play both sides, desperately trying to keep everyone happy while secretly hedging his bets and avoiding difficult confrontations, he is now sitting in complete, deafening silence. He is entirely alone. This is the definitive point of no return. What initially started as a quiet, sad realization that their marriage might just be running out of gas, a natural, albeit tragic conclusion to a decade-long struggle, has violently turned into a permanent, fiery wreckage. There is no reality television producer who can spin this into a heartwarming redemption arc. There is no amount of couples therapy or televised counseling sessions that can ever fix the psychological damage of a leaked dating show audition tape. There is no dramatic, tearful airport reunion waiting for them at the end of this season. The legacy of their relationship, a relationship that genuinely broke intense cultural barriers, challenged societal norms, and completely shocked the world, will now forever be stained by this final, unforgivable act of absolute self-sabotage. Sumit did not just lose his marriage to Jenny, he lost the entire narrative that sustained his public life for the last 10 years. He shattered the illusion of the ultimate sacrifice. And in the brutally unforgiving world of reality television, once you lose the core narrative that the audience invested in, you have absolutely nothing left. You are just a man sitting alone in a room with a canceled television contract and a deeply broken life. Now, I want to hear from every single one of you down in the comments section below. Do you think Jenny will ever, under any circumstances, forgive this monumental betrayal and take him back? Or is this finally the absolute, definitive final nail in the coffin for their decade-long marriage? Do you believe his excuses about just trying to buy a plane ticket? Or do you think he was genuinely looking for a new wife on Indian television? Drop your most honest thoughts in the comments right now because I will be reading through them and interacting with as many as I can. If you want to stay consistently updated on this massive, rapidly unfolding situation as more explosive leaks and reports come out, make absolutely sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video, and please leave a huge like on this video. It really truly helps the channel out and pushes this exclusive deep dive out to more reality television fans just like you. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, stay tuned and stay absolutely sharp.